Go ahead and take your time. So welcome to Pack Meeting Spectacular. For those of you who don't know me, I don't see any familiar faces in the room. So my name is Mike Holtz. To give you a little history of who I am a native Oregonian. I was born and raised and educated down in Corvallis. If you're a Duck fan, I'm not sorry. I do bleed black and orange. I was a scout for 10 years. I was a Cub Scout for 3 years, and a Boy Scout for about 7 years. Earned a bunch of stuff. The Reader's Digest version of scouting was a big part of my youth. It's a big part of who I am. And then I drifted away from scouting to go to college. Not because I went away to college, but because engineering school was hard. I didn't have time to go camping with the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts. So I did OSU. I'm an engineering guy. And I eventually finished my degree, moved up here to Portland, got married, bought a house, eventually had a couple of kids, 2 boys, and you can probably see where this story's going. About 3 years ago, my oldest son brings home a flyer that says, "Join Cub Scouts, it's fun." Oh, scouting, yeah, okay. So I get out my tote of uniforms and boxes and books and sashes and things and tell my son what this is all about. And by the end of that discussion, I had to make sure that it was my son that wanted to join a Cub Scout pack and not just me. Rest assured, my kids are having a great time. I have a youngest that's a wolf right now and an oldest that's a eagle. And not long after finding a pack to join, there's a story behind that I won't bore you with, I was identified by the current committee chair that I would be the next committee chair. She happens to now be our district executive, so I don't know what that trajectory is all about. I don't want to go there. And then 2 years ago, this is a warning, 2 years ago I was asked to be Cub Scout Roundtable Commissioner here at University of Scouting. And then last year, about 7 months ago actually, I was asked to be Vice Chair for General Interest Courses here at University. I think I need to start learning how to say no, is what that comes down to. But I do want to make a point to you guys. The reason why I put this on here is because I learned something this year. You guys have forms in your packets to evaluate and give feedback. And in all the years that I have been an attendee and somebody who, even just an instructor here at university, I always kind of thought, nobody pays attention to those things. Nobody really cares. Every single thing you write is categorized and looked at by a fair number of people. Every rating goes into an aggregate rating of each course, and we actually care. If there's a course that gets a poor set of ratings on average, we will look at that and try to understand why. We have changed courses, we have changed instructors based on feedback. Feedback is important to us. We really want to make this event better year over year, so please do fill out the form, especially if you either love a class or hate it. If it's in the middle, say, yeah, the class was okay, that's fine. And that tells us, okay, maybe we need to jazz it up a little bit or something like that. So please know that your comments and your ratings matter. So speaking of jazzing things up, I'm going to get back to the content here. This is Pack Meeting Spectacular. Our entire focus today is on pack meetings. How to make them exciting, how to engage our Cub Scouts, and how to make them want to come back to your pack meeting and be excited for that. So I basically have 5 parts. The first is, what is a standard pack meeting? What does BSA National say? There are 7 parts of a pack meeting, and it should go from A to Z. We'll start with that, because if you don't have a basic structure for a house, then you can't build a mansion, right? And then we're going to talk about how to make that exciting, how to put pizzazz and sparkle and jazz up that pack meeting, how to make it spectacular. That is the lion's share, the second point of this presentation. Probably at least 75% of my slides. Once we get there, we're going to talk about ways, and this is about a slide or 2, I think, of deviating from that. And I studied jazz and blues as a younger man, played saxophone, guilty, and I had a great instructor. His theory was, for playing jazz, for playing blues, you had to learn to play by the rules first before you can learn to break them. And I feel that way about pack meetings. You need to learn to work within the structure first before you can start to go, okay, let's throw that out and do something different. Let's lock it down first. So we're going to talk about ways to think outside the box to deviate from that standard. We're going to talk about how to incorporate the monthly points of the Scout Law from BSA National. You guys know that every month there is a pack meeting plan, right? That has a point of the Scout Law and a theme, right? It's only 1 slide, it's very brief, but I'll talk about, give you some pointers if you're not familiar with that, how to incorporate those things. And hopefully at the end we'll have some time to share. I'm going to go pretty quickly because I've got a lot of information. If you have a quick question, a clarification point, please ask. If you have a story, hold it to the end. We'll have hopefully time to talk at the end. So, What is a standard pack meeting? I'm going to slide over here because then I can read what's coming next. So the whole point of a pack meeting is most of your boys spend a lot of their time in den meetings. Den meetings are very academic. We get things done. We have some fun, hopefully. And your den leaders, week after week, deliver this scouting program. A pack meeting is where we bring all the scouts together and share what we've accomplished. It's a big event. It's for families to participate in. And it's a showcase, right? What we've learned, what we've accomplished since the last pack meeting, usually about 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. It also gives our scouts a larger picture. They're not just part of the den, they're part of the pack. They're part of Cub Scouting as a whole. So it gives them that picture as well. In reality, your pack meeting is a show. And I have an analogy that falls apart fairly quickly, but stay with me on this. And I tell people, when people ask me what I do, I'm a committee chair for my pack. When people ask me what I do, I say, okay, Cub Scouting is a theater production. We're putting on a show. The audience is the Cub Scouts. My Cub Master is the leading man. He's putting on the show. His assistant Cub Master is his quirky sidekick. The den leaders are the rest of the cast, the chorus maybe, if you will. And the committee, on the other hand, if you wanted to put on those traditional hats, and a lot of us wear multiple hats today, but if you want to put on the traditional, I am a pack treasurer, that's what I do. Committee people sit in the background and make things happen. They're props, sets, lighting, makeup, all that kind of thing, and the theater production analogy. My job as a committee chair is stage manager. I just make sure that all of my people have all the tools they need to get the job done. My charter org rep, their uncle owns the theater, right? That sort of thing. That's the analogy. Now, so the analogy goes to, it's a show. Now it does fall apart if you dig in too deep, so don't go too far with that analogy. But it's a show. It should include things like songs, skits, jokes, awards, advancements, recognition for your leaders at times, announcements, and most importantly, fun. It should be snappy. You should keep the pace up. I'm going to say that a couple times, I'm sure, today while you're listening. The point is to keep it fresh, to keep it new, to mix it up when need be. So that's kind of the point we're going to. It's a show. We're putting on a show. So what are the structures that we're going to use for this show? How do we structure this out? And this is what BSA National says. There are 7 parts to a standard pack meeting. And if anybody's been through Cub Master training, anybody been through Cub Master? Yeah, okay, we got at least a couple good. This should be familiar to you. Before the meeting, you're going to gather your materials, you're going to think about what you're doing. Hopefully preparation for the meeting includes writing out sort of an agenda and sharing that with the other people who are helping you with the meeting. You're going to come in and start setting up and these slides are going to be available to you if you want. And you don't have to take notes, okay. You can take pictures if you want, but please know that these will be available to you and all the links will be live. So once you've got the preparedness, you're prepared for your pack meeting, there are going to be two things before the opening ceremonies. You set up the things and hopefully you have some kind of a gathering activity. Who knows what a gathering activity is? Give me a show of hands. Okay, about half, well, a little more, okay, good. Teacher is also called an anchor activity. Some scouters call it a joining activity. We'll get to that in a second. We want to vector those scouts over and have them doing something. And then finally everything's ready, our time is upon us. We go to an opening where we do a series of things, usually flag, usually maybe a prayer or something like that. We'll talk about it in a minute. And then the big bullet item, the big thing that takes the most of the time is the program. And that's what we've just kind of covered a lot of these here. And these are our program elements. Fun, exciting, engaging, getting those scouts involved. And at some point that program is kind of exciting and hilarious and fun and meaningful, and then we bring it back a little bit. We bring it down to recognition awards. Okay, our Cub Scouts have done these things over the past the past month or so. Let's make sure that they get the recognition that they deserve, whether it's beads, belt loops, segments, rank advancement, and everything in between, supernova awards, religious award nods, the whole thing. That point number 5 is all of that. We bring it down a little bit. It's not quite as hilarious, not quite as funny. It's a little more serious. And then we finally close with, again, a closing ceremony, flag, a prayer is appropriate, something like that, to let everyone know, hey, now the meeting is over. Otherwise, it'll just kind of dribble on. And then finally, you may or may not have some after-meeting business, some refreshments. Your treasurer maybe needs to be in the back to collect funds for the upcoming outing. maybe your secretary needs to collect the medical forms, what have you. That is the general breakdown. If you haven't seen this before, there is a link down here at the bottom. All the links will be live, and BSA National will tell you all about it. But it's just a skeleton. It's just a framework. You need a plan. The most important thing in a lot of cases is to sit down and plan out, how am I going to do this? Consistency is good. A lot of packs have kind of the same thing over and over. I've just sketched out a 7-point thing, and a lot of packs stick to that. Consistency is good. A lot of people want to know what's coming next. But remember, sometimes you need to be flexible. Allow for change if you need it. Allow for change in your venue if needed. Allow for change in your order of events. We'll talk about some of the ways that one of my Cub Masters recently changed things up and it actually worked really well. Ideally, every single den should be involved in your pack meeting somehow, some way. Maybe it's running the gathering activity, maybe it's doing the flag, maybe it's doing skits, songs, jokes. But the most important thing is every den is involved. Maybe not every single Cub Scout, it's okay, but every den should have a part in some way, shape, or form. Your pack meeting should last an hour and a half is a long pack meeting, to be honest. Below an hour is kind of getting to the point where, are we really providing value? Are we doing enough? I've seen 45-minute pack meetings that are okay. If they're, I don't want to say forceful, I want to say impactful, if they're going, if there's no downtime. I always strive for about an hour. If you get to an hour and 15, and also it depends a little bit on what time you guys start. My pack starts its pack meeting at 7 p.m. because I'm worried about some of my families and dinner time. I've got Intel employees, and can they get home, can they get dinner, and get to the pack meeting. So I know other packs that start at 6:30. Move it up a little bit, do it a little bit earlier, then maybe they could be a little bit longer, be a little more casual about it. But an hour to an hour and a half is about right. I put on hard copy of your agenda for a reason. I have a new Cub Master this year. He's fantastic. He's amazing. My former Cub Master is still with us. He's an assistant. And he was a Cub Master for 4 years. And he had a tablet. He loved this tablet. He planned out the pack meeting on his tablet. It was all there ready to go. Every single meeting. And two things I noticed. Here's my tablet. Pretend. He'd be doing his Cub Master's Minute or some kind of thing. And he'd reach a transition point. Okay, Scout is kind. There are crickets in the back of the room. It deflates the energy when you do that. And it's true whether you have a paper copy or a digital copy. It just seems like whether you're on a tablet or a phone, that digital version of your agenda is more likely to give you a hiccup. Like at one of our pack meetings a year ago when his tablet died. And he had to wing it because his entire agenda was on his packet. Prints up a one-page copy. I almost brought one from our most recent pack meeting. It was just half a page. Here's what we're doing, bullet points, and then off to the side, who's in charge of it, who's doing the announcements, who's doing the awards, who's doing whatever. Make sure you have that. And my Cub Master now emails that out to the entire leadership crew about 4 or 5 days before the pack meeting. We usually have a back and forth of, oh, I need to announce this, or oh, wait, what about that? And it's a good way of exchanging that information. But make sure you have hard copies of your agenda just in case. Get those parents involved. You guys probably all know the parent that sits in the back of the pack meeting just waiting for it to be over.
Like this.
Yep, little Billy's up there, he's doing his thing, whatever, I don't care. Get those parents involved. The easy way is to start small. Hey Jim, can you bring a snack next pack meeting? Oreo cookies. You may know the Oreo cookie test. Really? There's a great article written by, I think it's Brian on Scouting. Who knows Brian on Scouting? Okay, at least a couple of you guys. It's a couple of years old, and there's an old scouter that basically wrote, has this story about how he finds other volunteers for his pack, to recruit the volunteers. And the whole way he does it is to ask them to bring Oreo cookies to the next meeting. And depending on what they bring, tells him a lot about whether or not this person's going to be a good volunteer. If they bring Oreos, okay, they can follow directions. If they bring double stuff Oreos, get that man an application. If they bring knockoff Oreos, well, okay, we'll think about this. If they don't show up and don't have Oreos and don't have them sent, well, we'll find someone else. If they show up with an excuse, we all know that. But get those parents involved, give them a job. Maybe setting up the chairs, setting up tables, running a joining activity. Something small. And then eventually, you can decide whether or not that person may or may not actually make for a good registered leader, that sort of thing. We don't need to have lots of people sit in the back casting judgment upon us, right? This is where my analogy falls apart. The Cub Master is not the star of the show. He's not really the leading man. He's supposed to be the ringmaster, the master of ceremonies. So I hesitate to use the analogy of a circus, because circus, but that's kind of where that goes. Your Cub Master is the circus master. He should be there welcoming people, we'll get to the welcome in a second, and then bringing other people on to do things, new dens, new other adult leaders to sing songs and do skits, and that sort of thing. Not up there the entire hour, exhausting themselves, doing everything. Ringmaster, not the star of the show. Okay, so I mentioned how every den should be a part of this thing. Remember those 7 parts of the pack meeting? Put them over here. What you can do is you can create a den duty roster for each meeting. This is a suggestion. This was a class that I sort of pulled some of this from. And this person who did this they have 10 dens in their pack. And so they create 10 different jobs, from setup and gathering all the way down to cleanup and closing. And every single den here is in a different thing. They have a different job. And the recommendation is, this is for one pack meeting, so this would be like December, for instance, to make sure that your den leaders know 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance, here are the assignments. I'm den 5, so my scouts are doing the opening. We're going to make sure we practice the flag ceremony, that sort of thing. So here's the pro tip. You can visualize this with me. This actually goes to a spreadsheet. On your left, going down the rows, are the jobs that you assign, and maybe they'll change a little bit from one pack meeting to the next. Columns are the dates of your pack meeting. And look, you can sort of have a waterfall cascade, a rotation, so that every single den gets to do an opening. Every single den gets to do a skit or a song throughout the entire year, because a lot of these things you need to have every den. Participate in the flag ceremonies and a lot of the advancement requirements. When I was a scout, we had 9 dens in our pack. We had like 60 or 70 scouts. And it was a big deal when it was finally your turn to help with the flag ceremony. We got really excited about that. And hopefully your scouts can get imbued with that sort of excitement too, that this is their chance to do this thing this year, for once. Creating a rotation of jobs, you can visualize that with me, helps to take that stress off the Cub Master, the planning stress. Okay, I've got to establish who's going to do what, and check in to make sure everybody knows their job and is going to do something, whether it be a song or a skit, or jokes, or whatever. And then just coordinate as it goes. Again, getting all those dens involved. Make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
All right. Publish that duty chart ahead of time. Remind your leaders. Everybody has a planning meeting of some kind, right? Committee meeting, a parent planning meeting, whatever you want to call it. Make sure you remind people a couple weeks in advance.
I'm just sneaking through for
Okay, you
some
better
stuff.
bring me food next time. Joe,
Okay.
I'm expecting something.
I'm helping.
Yeah. Remember, Joe helped me pinch hit this last year. I actually have slides.
That's right.
I know, right?
I forgot about that.
No, don't forget about that. So we have a rotation, reminding your leaders, your den leaders, your assistant Cub Masters, whoever it is, who's doing what, and then kind of have a contingency plan too. Okay, I'll talk about that in a minute. So people get sick, people forget, things happen. Send out email reminders also. About a week ahead of time, I find is a really good time to just send out a few emails. Hey, you're going to bring the flags, or you're going to bring this, right? And just, phone calls if necessary. Everybody knows that people these days have different ways they communicate. Whether it's text, phone call, email. I have one adult leader. If I send her a Facebook instant message post, she's right there on it. If I do anything else, she'll never get it. You got to figure out what people are all about. Be ready to adjust. You just heard Semper Gumby, which is something that I learned at Woodbad. Be ready to be Semper Gumby if you need to be. It's okay to swizzle things around. It's okay if Billy Cub Scout shows up and he was critical for this skit that Den 2 is going to do, and he's sick. Well, maybe next month. Maybe that skit gets bumped. That's okay. Or, on the other hand, have a couple of leaders that have things that they can pull out of a hat in a moment's notice. I have one. I'll share it with you in a minute. Every den gets involved. When something works, make sure you keep it. We have a few of those in our pack. Things like a big welcome, things like having tables in the back for business, that sort of thing. Keep it, if it doesn't work, try something else. It's okay to try something else. I tried it at Roundtable last month. I tried to rearrange my schedule based on a suggestion. It didn't work. That's okay. All right, so setup and gathering, stage 1. Most importantly, if you don't provide something for your scouts to do while your meeting is being set up, they're going to find something to do. It's going to be loud, it's going to be potentially inappropriate, and it's going to be potentially probably some version of tag, right? Usually, and it's going to be screaming. Yes. So, 2 things you can do here. 1, give the boys a job. Setting up chairs, setting up tables, arranging things, getting stuff ready to go. That's an obvious one. And that is listed over here. Setup and gathering. Hey look, Den 10. You guys are really doing the setup. They should know that. Also train the parents to help. Train the parents, you know, hey, I've got a whole bunch of adults in my pack that know exactly where the chairs are and where they need to go. And that's just repetition. We're in the same building every time. While the setup is going on, gathering activity. Anchor activity, joining activity, whatever. To keep those youth from getting in trouble, from having a chaotic, post-apocalyptic tag game, right? You don't want that. And I have some examples of these in just a minute. Can be led by a leader, can be led by a parent, can be led by a den. Especially or a den chief. Actually,
that's a great place to use a den chief.
Perfect. Absolutely. Den chiefs are great, especially for den meetings. Do gathering activities. If they make it to your pack meeting, they could do a gathering activity. Fantastic. Keep it simple. You don't want a really elaborate gathering activity because usually you have to set it up and tear it down pretty promptly. You don't want to make a mess. Plan for siblings. Younger siblings, older siblings, girls, boys, everybody. Grandma, grandpa are going to come. Maybe they want to help in the gathering activity. Who knows? Plan for that. It's not just going to be boys aged 6 through 10, right? 7 or whatever it is. And my comment is aim for easy cleanup. If you have something like pie in the face contests, you'll be scrubbing the floors for a week. Just don't do it. Some of my favorites include, anybody know Zulu toss? Oh, so there's a link here. Zulu toss I learned at Wood Badge. Everybody gets in a circle, which one is great for dinner or patrol size. Everyone gets in a circle, everyone starts with their hands up and needs some balls. Juggling balls, softball, whatever. And the person running it hands it to the first person, they've got the ball, they toss it to somebody else. They put their hands down. Next person catches the ball, toss it to somebody else, put the hands down. Somebody who has their hands up, right? At the end, you kind of create this unique pattern. Everyone throws it to somebody with their hands up until finally the last person who has their hands up gets the ball, and he tosses it to the first person. And the goal is to always toss it to the same person every single time. And then who's running it starts to add more balls. And it starts to get entertaining. It doesn't sound really exciting, but it's really fun. And it works well with 6, 8, 10 boys. 20, 40, 50, yeah, you split them off into different groups. Tic-tac-toe relay race is a YouTube video for you to watch when you have a chance. It's actually a warm-up game for like a basketball team, but it's fun. It's really simple. If you have hula hoops, you can use hula hoops, and if you have painter's tape, you can do that. Basically, it's a relay race, and you have 2 different teams, and you use rags or colored T-shirts or something. And they run down and they put the rag down, and that's their first X or O or whatever. And then they run, it's a relay race. So whoever's faster gets a better thing, better chance of winning. And then eventually you end up running out of things to put down. So you give them like 3 of each color, right? They have to move it around. And it engages the brain and engages those large muscle groups that are running around. Beanbag toss things, everything from cornhole to some sort of a target thing works really well. Sleeping guard, you guys know sleeping guard, sleeping ninja. It's actually a little bit better for a den size, but you can split up a group. You can read about it here. It's a quieter game. If you're looking for something that's a little bit less crazy. The classic gathering activities for Cub Scouting, and I say classic, I mean like the last 30 years. We're talking about crafts, crossword puzzles, like, you know, crossword puzzles or word searches that involve maybe the Scout Law or the Scout Oath or something like that. Those are good for dens. Pack meetings, you probably want something a little bit more energy burning. One of the things that I taught a session at Roundtable last month about scouting with special needs. We talked about scouts with ADHD and autism and things like that. And one of the great suggestions for gathering activities from one of my scouters was his son, and he's a scout leader, and his son has ADHD. And he said the thing that they learned to allow him to focus at both PAC meetings and den meetings was to have some sort of a gathering activity that engages in large muscle groups. His favorite is wheelbarrow races. To just have those scouts just run and jump and do all this stuff and burn off all that energy, and then the kid can sit and pay attention. So take that as a suggestion. If you can find those kind of things, those kind of relay races, and tag isn't bad. If you can find some version of tag, Yurtle, Turtle, or freeze tag, or whatever, and have somebody run it, that's okay. Especially if you have space, the appropriate space for that, or gym, something like that. So those are my gathering activity suggestions. Do you have any questions? Everybody okay with that? There are lots of other gathering activities out there. Yes, go ahead.
You'll be sending this to us.
Absolutely, yes. That's why. Where did my sign-in sheet go? Back in the back. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really know where it needed
No,
to go.
it's been there. If somebody wanders in.
We don't see.
Oh, bring it up on this side, please. So once we have the gathering activity, the scouts are entertained, hopefully they're tired, and everything's set up, it's time to start. Most importantly, if you say your PAC meeting is going to start at 7 o'clock, do your best to start at 7 o'clock. 7:15 is not good. Your families are going to get frustrated with that because they want to get home and get their kid to bed, right? 6:30 is your start time. Start at 6:30 as best you can. Most recently, we've had success with good gathering activities, and we've kind of let it slip to 7:05. I'm okay with that once or twice, but try to start on time. Wrap up those gathering activities, get people on their seats, and start the show. Good openings include a flag ceremony. You guys do flag every time for PAC meetings, right? Flag is technically optional. You don't have to do flag. You could just put the flags up in front. But doing a flag ceremony imbues that sense of citizenship to our scouts, right? Another suggestion, you don't have to do the same exact flag ceremony every single time. It could actually get boring. Have the scouts come in from a different direction. You saw how the OA did it today. They came in from the sides. They didn't come in from the back and cross over. Coming in from the sides and crossing is kind of a traditional thing that we do as Cub Scouts for internal inside flag ceremonies. You don't have to. It could be simpler. There are other flag ceremonies out there. But I recommend doing flag. Brief prayer is optional for those of us who are chartered by a community unit type thing, school PTO, PTA, definitely optional. If you decide to do that, celebrate the diversity that exists within your PAC. Have one person from one faith do a prayer for 1 month, and then somebody from a different faith do a different prayer for a different month. That's great. Or just don't. For those of you who are maybe LDS or chartered by a church or something like that, prayer is a great idea. You might have a lot of people of the same faith. Nothing wrong with that. Scout is reverent. I always recommend reciting the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. I did this as a Boy Scout for 7 years, and let me tell you, when I drifted away from scouting for a while, the Scout Law points were around in my head a lot. I wouldn't even be thinking about it. I'd just be sitting there taking a test, trustworthy, loyal. Holy crap, what am I thinking about that for? These things get stuck, and that's part of what really becomes sort of their moral code. That's the whole point. And reciting it every PAC meeting helps them to remember. Right? There's also, do you guys know about the triplet of posters sold at the Scout Shop? Scout Oath, Scout Law, and the Den Code of Conduct. $9. Ethan's on all of them, I think. And what we do is we have that, usually we forgot it last month at our PAC meeting, where 2 of us will stand up and hold a poster in front of the entire PAC, and our Cub Master will recite it, we'll sign up, and then we'll flip over to the next one. Yes, question?
Do they have them here?
I have no idea.
I
They
know
might.
I saw them last
They
year.
come in a cardboard tube like this.
Right.
And what you're looking for is the oath, law, and den code of conduct. It's really made for den leaders to have in their den meetings, right? You put it up on the wall on an easel or something like that. We don't have an easel, so we just have 2, myself and my assistant Cub Master, just hold it up, and my Cub Master, rattles it off, and everybody can participate. You do that over and over and over again every month, and encourage your den leaders to do that in their den meetings, and your scouts will have this thing memorized in no time. And then the welcome message. This has got to be delivered by your Cub Master. And it's got to be exciting. It's got to just launch things off on the right foot. My Cub Master comes in, "Good evening, PAC 685!" That's that sort of thing. Welcome your guests and everybody. And you transition immediately into a program. My former Cub Master liked to put his Cub Master's Minute at the beginning, which is okay, but again, you're sort of deflating the energy that you just created. He isn't a really dynamic public speaker. If you have someone that can engage and be energetic about the point of the Scout Law or whatever the theme is in their Cub Master's Minute, great. Go ahead and put it in the beginning. But the easy thing to do is to start with a welcome message, get excited, and go straight to your program. Welcome to Scouts, welcome to parents, leaders, especially guests. You may or may not even know that you have guests in the audience. Do we have anybody new here today? Welcome, that kind of thing. If you need to, especially for those of us, if you have a bunch of new Scouts, new families, set expectations. We sit in our seats, we're friendly, Scout is kind. You can talk about, this is the stage area, let's not run around the stage, that sort of thing. Especially for new people, new families and new Scouts, let them know what the Scout sign means. These are the years of Akela. This means we're going to listen. Really, at Woodbadge I learned, whether it's the Boy Scout sign or the Cub Scout sign, the person standing there waiting is inviting everyone else to join them in the next activity. So having someone say, "Signs up!" Not okay. Just wait. They'll catch on. And the quicker they catch, after a while they'll catch on quicker and quicker and quicker. Be patient. And let them know what that means. That means put your sign up, quiet, pay attention. Because we're going to go do something else. If you use the theme of the month, like I mentioned, that's a great, thank you very much. It's a great point to have in your Cub Master's Minute if you want. Not required. Okay. And then we launch into the program. This is the fun part. This is the excitement. This is the frosting on the cake. Songs, skits, run-ons, demonstrations, presentations, guest speakers, whatever that's exciting, that's interesting. We want to just make this a home run. So we're going to cover each of these. Start with songs. I love starting a PAC meeting with a song. It's like just the right thing to do. Everybody stand up, and this is a repeat after me song. Give him something to do. Hand motions, dancing. When he's only halfway up, he's neither up nor down. What song is that? I forget. All of that. Get the blood flowing, get those Scouts moving, get them singing, get them shouting, doesn't matter. As an adult leader, I encourage all my adult leaders delivering songs to avoid using song sheets. One fat hen and a couple of ducks. No. One fat hen and a couple of ducks! Totally different, right? You don't bury people in a sheet of paper. You deliver it. It's all in the delivery. Choose the song to fit your theme. Use the monthly theme, the point of the Scout Law, the theme that's provided by National. Try changing it around a little bit. If your theme is monsters, do Tarzan of the Apes monster style. And, you know, that sort of thing. And oftentimes, again, those PAC meeting plans will have those in there. Let's try those things. If your Cub Master is not a singy kind of person, find somebody who is. That's okay. Maybe you have an assistant Cub Master, maybe you have a den leader that loves to sing. Some of my favorites, you just heard me rattle off, sorry I was a little loud, One Fat Hen and a Couple of Ducks. That's mine that I can do at the drop of a hat. I did that at Woodbadge and did really well. It was fun. You guys know Baby Shark? Alright, here we go. Do it with me. Baby Shark, do 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 do. Baby Shark, do 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 do. Baby Shark, do 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 do. Brother Shark, do 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 do. Brother Shark, do 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 do. Brother Shark, do 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 do. Mama Shark, do 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 do. Mama Shark, do 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 do. Mama Shark, do 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 do. Daddy Shark, do 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 do. Daddy Shark, do 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 do. Daddy Shark, do 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 do. Grandma Shark, do 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 do. Grandma Shark, do 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 do. Grandma Shark, do 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 do. Grandpa Shark, do do do. Grandpa Shark, do do do. Grandpa Shark, do do do. Swim it up, do do do. Swim it up, do do do. Swim it up, do do do. Shark attack! Ah! Shark attack! Ah! Shark attack! Ah! Shark attack! Ah! Swimming back, do 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 do. Swimming back, do do do. That is Baby Shark. There's a couple others in there you can throw in. There's a link for that. 12 Days of Camping is great. It's on your CD. I did get some PDFs in there. 12 Days of Camping is a riff on the 12 Days of Christmas. It's a great one for December. We enjoyed it last year, and it works really well if you have 12 adults who are willing to stand up and do it one after the other. Boom Chicka Boom's a classic. There are a zillion themes, race car theme, janitor style, whatever. And I Met a Bear. Again, a lot of us go to camp and see these and go, oh, I met a bear. It's all in the delivery. You've just got to own it. Embrace your inner Cub Scout. There are some resources for you guys beyond what's on your, beyond these and beyond what's on your disc. There are lots of songs out there. Make sure they're age appropriate. Make sure they're fun. And whoever's delivering it, just embrace that and just go with it.
What's the disc? What have we got?
There should be a disc in your
In your
packet.
packet.
Yeah, there's a CD. And I will email you, because my slides didn't make the disc this year. I was late. I will email you.
This slide will be on.
The slides, this slide that's not on the disc.
It'll be
But
emailed.
if you signed in, I will email you likely a pointer to a location on a Google Drive where you can download these. Everybody cool with that?
Yeah.
All right. Skits. Skits by adult leaders are awesome because adult leaders, again, embracing your inner Cub Scout, can deliver fantastically hilarious skits. I've got a couple examples. Remember, they can be edgy, but there's a line between edgy and age appropriate, right? You gotta find that line. My example for that is Royal Papers. Who knows Royal Papers? Okay, Royal Papers is, bring me the Royal Papers, those aren't the Royal Papers, right? You know, these aren't the Royal Papers and newspaper and whatever else. And finally somebody brings them the roll of toilet paper. Ah, the Royal Papers! And he rushes off to use the restroom. There are scouters who will tell you that's inappropriate. I disagree. It's toilet paper, guys. You have to find where that line is for you.
And for your Cub Scout, toilet paper's hilarious.
Toilet paper is totally hilarious.
I totally agree. There are people.
Said their moms, by the way.
I ran into them at Wood Badge, weirdly enough, that say, no, we can't say toilet paper or have underwear. Really?
Everybody wears
That's
underwear.
all boys talk about.
Right.
Poop and
Right.
toilet paper and, yes.
So, you know, there's that, you've got to find that line,
Potty
right?
jokes.
So, short and sweet is the key. My friend and I, as a youth, created a skit that was 12 minutes long. It was dead by minute 4. And we should have just buried it. Short and sweet, 3-4 minutes at most. Ideally, every single scout is involved somehow. Maybe the shy scout's in the background holding a prop or something. I don't know. But get those scouts up there in front of the audience and hopefully speaking. This is how we start with public speaking, right? Know your audience. Do you have grandma and grandpa there every month, and are they going to be a little bit offended by whatever you're, you know, think about that. And part of that is the Cub Master. You have the den to report back to you what they're going to present every month, whether it's a skit or a song. Make sure that it jives. When I was a youth, as a Boy Scout, we did the pencils skit a lot, and it got banned because it was just ridiculous. And I'm not going to go into that one. Pencils is not okay. And keep the pace up. Keep that pace going. If you've been to a good campfire, for instance, Cub World, they did a great job, and they kept the things going. There wasn't dead time. Dead time kills a campfire and it kills a pack leader. Keep it going. One things the Cub Masters do that are really great is, all right, and right now it's Den 2 doing, you know, whatever the skit is, and he walks off the stage and points to his den leader and says, you're next. And that den leader can stand up, get their cubs together off to the side while this group is performing, and then they're ready to go. Boom. And next is Den 3 with a song. Right? Keep the pace going. Some of my favorites. Who knows the emergency alert system? In the back? So for those of you who don't know, you line up your Cub Scouts behind you, you have a leader in front, and the leader is the key. He says, this is a test of the emergency Cub Scout alert system. This is only in the test. And the Cub Scouts go, beep. When I did this, I used a hand motion. I said, okay, you guys do beep until I do that, and then you stop. It does better. Okay, so beep and stop. This was only a test. Had this been an actual emergency, you would have heard, and the Cub Scouts go, blah! And get crazy off stage. It's especially cute if they're tigers or wolves. Younger the better. It's easy, it's simple. All you got to do is work with them for about a day or two. Tree climber skit is a good one. I saw that at Butte Creek, and then my Cub Master and assistant pair did it with radios. It worked really well. He went out of the room and we had radios scattered about. Best done by adults or could be an older den. Leave a zero like that sort of thing. Camp Coffee. Who knows Camp Coffee? I got one. Okay. Camp Coffee is great for adults. You could probably pull it off with an older group too. It requires only 3 or 4 people. This is the middle of the stage, and you have a stock pot. First person comes in with a mug. If you can preload a spit take and do a spit take if you're outside, that's awesome. If not, don't worry about it. Dips the mug in the pot. Oh, this Camp Coffee's terrible! Walks off stage. Next person dips the mug in. Ah, this Camp Tea is horrible! Next person, same thing. This Camp Hot Chocolate's awful! And you can go on, Camp Cider, however many people you have. Last person comes on, looks around, dips his hand in the pot, brings out wet, dirty socks, wrings them out. Oh, I thought this would get these clean. Scouts love it. Simple, fun. You could have your Cub Scouts do that. Ice fishing. Who knows ice fishing? You know all the skits. So correct me if I miss this one, right? It's a bunch of people come in, sit down. Oh, we're going to go fishing. Got to kill a hole in the ice, right? And they start fishing. Oh, there's no fish here. Is that right? And then move on to another, cut another hole in the ice. Oh man, there's no fish here today. There are no fish. The ice rink is closed. Comes from off stage. It's little stuff like that. It should only take 2 or 3 minutes. All that kind of thing. Here's some references for you guys. There are lots of skits out there. Again, go with age appropriate. Go with is this? I'm running a little bit slow, guys. Sorry. Age appropriate and is it okay for my scouts to do? It's great to have your adults engaged as well. Just leave it all on the table. Run-ons and jokes. You guys know what a run-on is? Okay, I've got a couple at least. Run-on is a mini skit. It's usually a play on words. I got a few favorites. I'll share with you in a second. It can be serial. They do this at Cub Scout camp really well, where they'll start something. Somebody else, a staff member will run on and do a thing and run off, and then after a few more skits, they'll come on and do part 2, and then part 3 is hilarious or whatever. It can be serial. It doesn't have to be one and done. I got an example of that one. 20 and 60 seconds is actually long. I like 5, 10-second run-ons. Get in, deliver, get out. And then the next thing happens. And you pepper these between your songs and your skits, right? Usually it's 2 people, usually. And it's all about the delivery. I've been mentioning delivery a lot about songs and skits. It's really all about the delivery with the run-ons. And when you're doing this as an adult, really embrace your inner Cub Scout. Some of my favorites. Your line is what? Okay? It's all around me! It's all around me!
What?
My belt!
What?
My belt!
What?
Pulling a rope. I'm pulling a rope. Your line is, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
We're pulling a rope.
Why? Why?
Easier than pushing it. And then part 2 is you come back, you tie that rope on the end of a stick, and you push it, and you just grin. They're after me! They're after me!
Who's after you?
The squirrels! They think I'm nuts! And do you guys know Beam Me Aboard? This is a great one. I saw this at Cub Camp a while back. Anybody who can do a William Shatner impression, you know, the Romulans, they're here. Scotty, beam me aboard. And then from off stage, somebody hucks a 2x4 and it lands at the person's feet. And that's the end. That's it. That's the kind of thing you're looking for. 10 seconds, play on words, hilarious. Your Cub Scouts will love it. Some references for you guys. Go find what you've seen. If you've been to Cub Scout camp, you've seen these probably. Boy Scout camp too. So, find what you like, give it a try. It's really all in the delivery. Cheers. I added this. This is one of the reasons why the slides aren't in your packets. I added this slide last night. I have this theory that cheers are vastly underused in Cub Scouting. Does anybody here use cheers in their pack meetings? Wow, I'm preaching to the right people. A cheer is a great way to recognize your performers, your dens for doing a great job. It keeps the Scouts involved. It keeps things fresh. You could do a cheer of the month and introduce a new one every pack meeting. There's a classic thing of creating, if anybody uses cheer laundry detergent, to save a box, I don't know if anybody uses it anymore, and harvest that box as the cheer box. And then you write your different cheers on a slip of paper and have slips of paper with different cheers. And then one of the Cub Scouts gets to choose the cheer by picking it out of the box. It's a great way to get them involved. These should be delivered primarily by the Cub Master. Some of my favorites, the watermelon cheer. Everybody has a watermelon. Big, juicy, ripe watermelon, and it's delicious, and you can't wait to suck it. But there's seeds in it. We gotta get rid of the seeds. Ready? Here we go. That's the watermelon cheer. It's that simple. The cookie cheer, I would do this one to adults only that are game. Everybody's got a cookie. Break a cookie in half. Crumbs fall out. Crummy, 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 crummy. Again, it's kind of weird, but it's funny. Kids like it. The good turn cheer is very simple. Yay! That's the good turn cheer. A big hand. Let's give him a big hand! The round of applause. Classics. The seal of approval. The hard part about these things, the Model T cheer is easy. Ooga! The hard part about these, you can find these online. And they'll tell you the name of the cheer, and they'll give you the line. But they don't give you the delivery. So seeing these done at a good Cub meeting and a good pack meeting at Cub Scout camp sometimes, that's where you really start to imbue these. Go out and look for good cheers that you like and learn them and then teach them to your pack. And then it becomes less yay and more or, which keeps them engaged and all that kind of good stuff. Okay. Questions? I know, right?
Yeah.
You know how
I
in camp
just-
they always
Sorry, I'm a
start
little distracted by the
a
baby
den
smell.
cheer that they make up and then.
Right, a little bit different.
But
So
something like that might be fun too though.
one of the things you could do, although it depends on your dens, you could definitely have your den leaders and ask your den leaders to do a den cheer. And welcome. Is Den 1 here? And Den 1 does their cheer like what they do at Cub World or Butte Creek or whatever. You could do that. That'd be great. These are some people call these applauses. I call them cheers. And that's the old school way to say it. So definitely think about integrating those into your pack meetings. Again, leave it all on the table, Cub Masters. Nobody's left behind. Recognition. So now we're kind of wrapping up our program, and we're going to bring it down a notch. We're going to recognize these scouts for the things that they've done, their accomplishments, the adventures that they've had over the past month-ish, whatever. Make it fun, make it interesting, as best you can. Larger packs, we found this, to be very sure, larger packs have a bigger challenge here. If you have 12, 15 Cub Scouts in your pack, you can hand out every single thing they've done and recognize every single individual Cub Scout, call them up to the front, and you're out maybe, 15 minutes? If you have 40, 60, 70 Cub Scouts, you've got a challenge in front of you. And this is what happened to my pack. When I joined, we had about 24 Cub Scouts. We did the individual thing. Everybody gets their moment of glory. Little Billy went to the Cub Scout Stampede, and he earned this bead, and da-da-da-da. And then we hit 40. We doubled the size of our pack. Literally. We recruited 19 Cub Scouts, and we had basically doubled the size of our pack from 20 to 40. And our first meeting, our pack meeting in September, it took 40 minutes to get through the Cub Scouts because they did all the stuff from summer camp. And the first thing we heard from all the new parents were, what? Really? I had to sit and watch your kids learn things for 40 minutes. We realized we had a problem. There are a couple ways to solve this if you have growth or just a bigger pack. One of them is to put all one Cub Scouts things in a bag. Ziploc bag, paper bag, put the name on it, and have them be in a common spot in the back. That's called being a baggy pack. And the challenge there is to give them due recognition for those things. Because now you just
May I have your attention, please?
Yes,
There
ma'am.
are vehicles blocking the gate to the football field. Please remove your vehicle or they will be towed. Please remove your vehicles that are parked in front of the gate to the football field and track. Thank you.
Okay, so that would be an example of baggy pack. You put the Scouts things, whether it be an adventure, a segment, something like that, you put them in a little bag and you make sure, and the nice thing about that is they're not going to lose them, right? How many times have you handed out a Scout segment and it gets lost and gone, right? Some people don't like being baggy packs. They don't like that as a notion because you're kind of taking that recognition point away. Pack that I'm in, we use baggies. what we do is my advancement coordinator stands up and says, okay, who went to Cub Scout Stampede as an example? Stand up. What did you do that was fun? And spend about 30 seconds to a minute with these scouts. What did you do? What was fun? That sort of thing. Okay, Den 4 did the Weeblos Walkabout Adventure. Stand up. What did you learn? What did you do? 2 minutes, right? All those things are in their bags, but they get to stand up and have that moment of recognition. And some of them will ask, okay, Jim, what did you do for, you know, the Castaway Adventure, right? So if they get a chance to say, yes, I earned that. And I went and I built a survival shelter out of sticks, and it was great. It takes a little extra effort to do that. If you do that, don't do this. Okay, Billy Cub Scout earned a star for going to archery, and he earned his arrow of light. Here you go, Billy, good job. No, the big stuff has to be held for later. The rank advancements, religious awards, supernova, stuff like that. You got to draw that line for yourself based on what your scouts are doing and how much time you have. But the baggies are great, in my opinion, for segments and belt loops. Yes.
So the first time I did Cub Scouts, we had like 45 kids, 50
Okay.
kids in our pack,
Right.
and we did bags.
Okay.
So a couple things I would say about that is we listed all the awards under each kid on
Okay.
on the
bag.
little slip that was stapled to the bag,
Okay.
which really helps the parents know what the segments are for.
Okay.
They found that to be really helpful because they would go, what is this for, or whatever.
Right. We do cards. We put
Yeah.
up little cards for each one.
Something.
Mhm.
But another way that you can do it is to give them their awards, not just in the back, but like I have, now that I'm in again,
Right.
we have Den for Wolves, stand up, great. The Wolves did this. Now maybe not every Wolf went to
Right.
the Winterhawks game, but
Right.
it doesn't matter. That's what the Wolf Den did.
Right.
And then, you know, the Wolves did this and they made this and blah, blah, blah. And then we hand them each their bag right then. So they're feeling like they're getting their bag.
Right there.
And then if there's somebody that did something spectacular,
Right.
and Billy helped with, actually helped one of our Boy Scouts with an Eagle Scout project.
Cool.
You know, and we give
A
him
special
that
call-out.
little special call out.
Absolutely.
And then it goes fast. And if you know they did, you can ask them, oh, the Wolf Den went to the Winterhawks game.
Yeah.
And you know for sure that Johnny went. Johnny, what was the best thing?
Yeah.
And then because maybe he doesn't have the special award that the rest of them have, or
Right.
whatever.
Sure.
So that's how we do it.
Okay. And that's a great
and it
example
seems-
of giving every scout their moment of glory.
Right, they all get to stand up in front, they all get to say what they did,
Absolutely.
they all get their awards right then, that they can go back and,
Yeah.
because they don't really care what the Tigers got, but they can be looking at their stuff in their bag, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's great.
So that's how we do it.
Individual recognition is important. That's exactly what your point goes to. And my original point of when we doubled the size of our pack, we noticed that people were getting bored, people were getting tuned out. If you notice that, you've got to change things up. Here's a different idea for you guys. Anybody know about an award board? Okay. Basically, a 4x8 sheet of plywood painted with some trim around it, eye hooks with laundry line, a clothesline, and clothes hooks, right? Clothespins. So you create sort of a ladder effect. And what I can see doing is every Cub Scout stuff is in a bunch, and every den is on one of the clotheslines. And then you create a kickstand mechanism so it'll stand up in front of your pack mini. It's a focal point. The Cub Master, again, takes those 5-10 minutes to highlight all the exciting things. Den 2 did this. What was exciting about that? And that's over here. And then apparently the method here is the den leaders will gather at the end of the meeting in front of the award board and hand out the things. My question is, to the person who created this, how do you create that from not being a chaotic cacophony at the end of the pack meeting? Do you time share the award board at the end? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. All I know is there's a suggestion here. Sheet of plywood with lines across them. You could use, like I said, laundry line, or even wire would work. But again, those are going to be things like segments, belt loops, the smaller stuff. Keep those rank advancements, supernova award, the big things for individual recognition. So rank advancement should be meaningful. That's why, right? Don't just hand it out with other stuff. Make a big deal out of it. There's a whole session here on ceremonies. Check that out if you don't, if you need some ceremony ideas. Do something different. If it's getting stale, is okay. Our LDS groups have this rolling conveyor belt of scouts that come in and go out. They're doing Arrow of Light with the bigger ones, every month. You got to mix it up, and we can learn from that as traditional units too. If it's boring, do something different next year or whatever. Complexity is not the key. The key is making it meaningful and making it important to the scouts. Get other leaders involved if you need it. I got a photo of this in just a second. Allow time for photos to be taken by the families. This is their moment. Their little Billy got Bobcat, right? This is the more serious portion. We've kind of brought it down a bit again. It's not hilarious laughing. We're not doing big cheers and applauses. We're saying this is something big that Billy Cub Scout accomplished. This is a Bobcat ceremony. We minted about 12 or 13 last Tuesday. It was Funny Hat Day, so sorry about that. But the important thing is we had 5 adult leaders in the back who do the face painting thing. You guys do that?
Yep.
With the crayons. We had 5 sets of crayons and 5 adult leaders in the back. We got this done in 10 minutes. And it was still meaningful. I got a message from one of my new den leaders. Thank you for making this meaningful. Got a little script, Bobcat, welcome to the pack, here's what all this means. It was still meaningful, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna just jack it up.
Okay, you got a minute, go.
We do that very same thing, but we have our OA boys come and do it.
I like it.
In all their regalia, and they're saying what the...
For Bobcat?
For Bobcat.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Cool.
their first ceremony is a OA ceremony, and then
what district are you from?
Thunderbird.
Okay. Sunset Trail, our OA guys are just stretched too thin.
Yeah, they
But
are.
if your district is willing to
No,
do
we
that.
just do our, we do vertical,
Yeah.
for 664.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you had the boys come down.
So we just have our troop boys come down,
There
they
you
show
go.
up a little bit early.
All right.
There's like 5 of them trained, they know the whole Bobcat,
There you
know, yellow is for the sun, and on
They
their
don't have to
chin.
refer to the thing.
Nope, they got it all, and they're in their
Nice.
whole deal, and their parents are painting their
If you
kids'
have that,
faces.
that's awesome.
It is awesome.
Very cool. And that makes it really special for them.
It makes it super
And then they
special,
try
and then they go
circle
out
back
with the OA when they go get their arrow of light.
Absolutely. I
So
like
it's
that.
super cool.
If it's getting boring, use a theme. Here's a link to those pack meeting plans. We'll get later. And let those parents and adult leaders, adult partners present. We always bring up the parents with the youth to do a rank advancement. Consider that same method for things like Supernova. If it's a big thing, or a religious award. Bring those parents up because parents support the scout in their scouting adventures. Plan ahead. We had 5 sets of crayons for our Bobcats. We knew we were going to have a bunch and we wanted to make it go quick. Arrow of Light's usually the most challenging. Getting the order of the arrow involved if you can is awesome. Go check out the ceremonies. It doesn't have to be the OA. It can be you doing the Arrow of Light ceremony. Make it a big deal. Leader recognition. I've got 4 minutes. I'm going to get through this, guys. It is a really good idea if you're leaders, especially if you're a committee chair, this is where I sit, and I have a den leader on the Den Leaders Training Award. I'm going to take 2 minutes, I'm going to frame their certificate, and I'm going to make a big deal out of it for 2 minutes in front of my pack that Jim, den leader, spent a year of his time and has done an awesome job of being a den leader. He's done these things. Thank you, Jim, den leader. Shake his hand and give him the certificate with a nod. Thank you for your service. It can be simple, it can also be meaningful. The other thing we like to do as a pack, and this is a whole other discussion, is adult leader recognition once a year. We do ours at blue and gold. Last year we made, for instance, trophies for every single one of our adult leaders to recognize them. And there were a different theme for each one. Mine was juggling for scouters because I'm a committee chair. We had the brand new den leader who jumped in when my other den leader had to move to Arizona in a mid-moment's notice. He got plunged right in. Went to the dollar store, got a plunger, glued the plunger on the top of a 2x4, plunged right in. You're done. You make it simple, you make it meaningful. My secretary did most of those, my pack secretary. She went to the dollar store, spent about 20 bucks, made 15 different awards. It's easy. Come up with ideas. What's special about this person? One of my adult leaders got the Ninja Award because he hadn't been there for a while. You know, his son thought that was the best award ever. Ways to recognize your adults and let them know that you are appreciative of their service. Announcements. You got to have them. Try to keep them brief. Ways to keep them brief. Use a newsletter, whether it's digital, maybe it's a weekly email, maybe it's a printed newsletter. I love printed newsletters. I don't have one. I want one. Use an online calendar. Use a printed calendar. We'll make sure your parents, your families know what's going on so that somebody can stand up at the pack meeting and say, don't forget sign-ups in the back for the Oregon Coast Aquarium overnighter. That's all you need, right? Everybody should already know the date. Somebody might ask, what's the day again? Keep them brief. And a simple rule for this is one person should never be on stage talking for more than 5 minutes. If you have a series of announcements, bring somebody else in to mix it up a little bit. Okay, fundraising. Who's doing, that kind of thing. Figure out what works for your families, whether it's email, digital, print, whatever. I've got 7 more slides, you kidding? Consider using that time between the closing flag and pack dismissed for like 10 seconds. Don't forget, hats in the back, whatever. That last thing that you want to really sink people in and get them going. Some group, whether it's a den or adults, should be in charge of cleanup. You might consider refreshments. I tend to eschew that because you've got cleanup issues, but you could. And then you've got your after meeting activities are usually packed business. We set up a table in the back. I've got my treasurer, I've got my pack secretary, they're taking forms, they're taking payments, they're answering questions, that sort of thing. Get that set up before the meeting so that as soon as the pack meeting's over, everyone can just go, get to their place, and boom, go.
Good morning. Sorry for the interruption.
Jackie.
There's a Camry LE license plate, Oregon, V is in Victory, U, Y, 522. You are blocking the fire gate to the football field, which is north of the school.
Think outside the box.
We also have a Jeep, black, license plate, Oregon, Beavers, B is in boy, MDM. You're blocking the gate. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to try to get through these real quick. Think outside the box, especially for packs like mine who are chartered by a PTA, PTO, PTC. Take your pack to a public park in the summer and have a picnic for a pack meeting. There's nothing wrong with that. Think about using council properties. Camp Ireland's a great example. You could take your pack to Camp Ireland if you're on the west side, or Camp Clark if you're over in the Tillamook area to do something exciting. Just a pack meeting. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. A destination wedding, if you will. We took our pack to Archers of Field in Beaverton. A lot of our boys really love archery, and we had a pack meeting at the archery range. Professionally run. They have all the people that are needed to actually run the range efficiently. We had the scouts shoot for 30 minutes, and then we did a quick, pack meeting, and we were done. It was fun. Do the same thing with a rock climbing gym. Again, professionally run with all the right people, with all the right training. Try something different in your regular space. The Bears need to do a carnival. Have that carnival be the first 30 or 40 minutes of your pack meeting, and then shift over and do, okay, let's have a little song, joke, and a few advancements, and we're done. Boom. You've mixed it up. We've done different things. Same thing. Anybody know Sock Wars? Look up Sock Wars. We're going to do this in our pack in December. Every family brings a bag of tube socks, and during the gathering activity, the parents roll up in the balls, and it's just a snowball fight inside the socks. And then at the end, you can do forts with boxes and things like that. At the end, all those socks are collected and donated to homeless shelters, or things like that, because homeless shelters get jackets and blankets, but not socks. They need socks. It's a great way to do that. Make sure you check in with your place you're going to send these things before you do it. Okay, incorporating the Scout Law, my point here is check in with the pack meeting plans. Every month there's a theme, there's a point of the Scout Law. Consider pointing that out with a Cub Master's minute, beginning and usually. And works really well. My Cub Master this month put it in right before the Bobcat ceremony. It was excellent. It worked really well. If you're a Cub Master and you're not well versed in the points of the Scout Law, get yourself a Boy Scout handbook. We talk a lot about it. There's also a lot of online references. Just go Google a Scout is reverent or whatever. Boy Scout Trail is out there. Got a ton of things. 12 core values are still useful potentially. They took the Scout Law and they put it through a thesaurus and created 12 other words that were the 12 core values. They still tie back pretty well. Faith and reverence. If you find Cub Scout 12 core value faith activities, you can use that with reverence. There's a lot of that still out there in the world on Pinterest and things like that. I'm almost done, I promise. Call to action, do something fun, do something different. Don't get stuck in a rut. Make sure everybody's having fun. I was going to have time for conversation, but you guys got to get out of here because the next class starts in 9 minutes. So thank you very much for being here. I hope you learned something. I will send you my slides, I promise. Go forth and do scouting. All right.